News is Pakistani terrorists were trying to infiltrate into India from the Uri sector on the 25th of August. Now, the terrorists were detected by electronic surveillance gadgets after specific intelligence inputs were received. Now, these three terrorists were eliminated by Indian Army troops essentially. And these are the visuals that you're getting on your screen right now. We're going to try to explain these a little further, but essentially the three terrorists were neutralized yesterday and they were eliminated by the Indian Army troops. I'm crossing over to my colleague Tejinder Singh Sodhi to get us more details on this. Tejinder, can you tell us about how these Pakistani terrorists were trying to infiltrate into India?
This footage is from the line of control in the Kamalkot area of the Uri sector in North Kashmir's Baramulla district. When the army noticed the movement of terrorists near the line of control as they were trying to enter into the Indian territory, you can see in these visuals, which have been exclusively accessed by CNN News 18, which clearly shows that these terrorists, they are trying to clandestinely move inside into the Indian territory, but they were observed and they were being monitored by the electronic gadgets that have been installed on the line of control by the Indian Army. And you can see how the Indian Army took them down. All these three terrorist infiltrators, they were Pakistani nationals. They were trying to infiltrate into the Indian side, but they were neutralized. Large quantity of arms and ammunition have also been recovered. And today at around 11, the GOC of the Baramulla-based 19th Division of the Army and the Deputy Inspector General of North Kashmir Range, they will be holding a press conference telling the journalists about the recoveries that have been made, how this infiltration bid was foiled. This bid was foiled based on human intelligence and as well as on the electronic surveillance that has been installed along the line of control by the army. You see large quantity of arms and ammunition, which include 2 AK rifles, 1 Chinese M16 rifle, along with many other warlike stores were recovered when this infiltration bid was foiled. This was the fourth infiltration bid that was foiled by the army in as many days in the entire along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. 3 infiltration bids were foiled in the Rajouri sector. 2 bids were foiled in the Rajouri sector, 1 in the Palawala sector, and this 4th one in the Uri sector. You can see in these visuals how these 3 terrorists, they are trying to sneak into the Indian territory using but taking the advantage of the darkness. But because of the alertness of the Indian Army, because of the robust anti-infiltration grid that has been put in place along the line of control, their attempt to sneak into the Indian side was foiled. We are told by the sources that this is going to be a very hot season because on the Pakistan side of the line of control, more than 40 terror launch pads have been reactivated. All the terror training camps are active, and attempts in the coming days would be made to carry out either border action team attacks on the soldiers of the Indian Army who are deployed on the forward post, or similar attempts of infiltration by the terrorists would be made. But the army is fully prepared to deal with any such eventuality. We are told by the sources that Pakistan has taken advantage of the 2020 ceasefire agreement, which both the sides had agreed that there would be no firing on the line of control or the international border. Pakistan has reinforced these terrorists into those launching pads, trying to push them into the Indian side.
Absolutely. Yes. Tejinder, do stay with us because I now want to bring in Mufti Isla to get us more details on this. Mufti, essentially, what do we know about these 3 Pakistani terrorists? Do we know about whether they were youths? What information do we have? Bring us more details, please.
Well, to begin with, they were all Pakistani. They were pushed from that side because Pakistan clearly, according to army sources, wants to go back to the basics, which is to push in as many infiltrators as they can. As Tejinder was also pointing out, that there have been spate of infiltration attempts launched on both the northern as well as southern side of Pir Panjal, essentially meaning that the LOC will be hot. A few days back, CNN Network 18 did a story on how militants as well as infiltrators amassed along the line of control at different launch pads to be pushed whenever they get an opportunity. Sometimes what happens is that when there is an opportunity that Pakistan Army thinks, as well as ISI thinks, that they need to push these militants from south of Pir Panjal. They will push them there when they will think that towards the Kashmir Valley, they're now going to send militants. They push them out from Uri, or for that matter, from Keran, Kupwara, other sectors. So clearly that is what is at play, because the number of militants inside the valley is dwindling, and ISI and Pakistan, according to army sources, have noted this, and they want to replenish the militants. Also, what is happening on the ground is that there is a crunch in weapons. So expect that these militants will come in, and whenever they come in and they are really challenged and killed, there's a huge cache of arms which is found on them. So clearly yesterday, if you take a look at what was happening for the first time, probably you have now one Chinese rifle, which is M16. It is kind of making an entry first time into the valley. The other rifles which were found, two AK-47 rifles. Apart from that, large cache of arms and ammunition, for cigarette packets, apples and dry fruits were also given to those militants who tried to infiltrate through the Kamal Kot area, probably so that they can last long whenever there is an encounter. And if they manage to sneak into an army or security facility, they can hold for long. So clearly, these are actually fidains which Pakistan is trying to push in. And as Tejinder was also pointing out, 4 infiltration attempts in last 4 or 5 days clearly signals that Pakistan is at it, and they've gone back to the game that they know by pushing in more infiltrators into the valley, as also in Jammu. Because of late, we've seen Rajouri and Punch also receiving a lot of militants so that terror activities can be started in that region also, which otherwise has remained, quite peaceful.
Absolutely, and what we do want to emphasize is that these are the satellite visuals that we are currently playing out for you on our screens. Now, Mufti, do stay with us. I just want to cross back over to Tejinder Singh Sodhi to get us a few more details on this. Now, Tejinder, considering that this incident happened along the Uri sector, do we know about whether the presence of forces is going to increase now because of this?
The inputs are that there are large number of terrorists who are waiting for an opportunity along the line of control in the Pakistan side, in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. They are waiting in those launch pads to infiltrate into the Indian side. Given the fact that Pakistan Army is facing lot of heat inside Pakistan, because they saw that there was the recently concluded Amarnath Yatra went peaceful. There was Har Ghar Tiranga campaign that saw a massive response in Kashmir. Kashmiri people in large number came out during the Tiranga Yatra. So this is something which has frustrated Pakistan. And also given the fact that the local police has tightened its noose against the local terrorists, we saw how the hybrid terrorists who carry out selective assassinations are being killed. And in the recent past, Pakistan intelligence agency is also frustrated because there has been not a major terror attack on the military installations in Jammu and Kashmir. Though the military, they have the intelligence input that terrorists are planning to carry out a major strike on the vital military installations across Jammu and Kashmir, but the terrorists, they are facing a crunch of manpower, logistics. They don't have a required weapons to carry out such type of terror attacks. So that so to replenish those numbers of terrorists who have been dwindled in Kashmir. If you see, this year alone, more than 150 terrorists have so far been killed. Out of these, around 40 are foreign terrorists. If you see, last year, there were only 9 foreign terrorists who were killed in the same period of the year. But this year, more than 40 have been killed. So the security forces have already been tightening their noose against the terror outfits. And just to send in the reinforcement, Pakistan side is trying its level best to push in these terrorists into the Indian side. So this is the 4th infiltration attempt that has been foiled, and the security apparatus know that this is not going to be the last one.